Hello everybody, hope you are having fun with your units and your guitars. Today I want to share with you some information or some knowledge in relation to equalizing and how to deal with that in GTK specifically. Because I have checked that there are lots of questions and interest regarding the main idea of having a good sound. But a good sound, of course, is something that you cannot establish per se, or it's not fixed. I mean, it depends on the context, it depends on the band you're playing, it depends on the role you're having in the band, and so on. So in this video, as I said, I will more than to talk about equalizing. This is about tone, okay? This is more or less about how to reach such some kind of tones, but mainly using equalizing. Okay, you can, and I will show you that you can use other blocks, some other blocks to get some similar results, but equalizing is a very powerful tool and a very good tool. Of course, I know that some people is not I would say they prefer not to use equalizers but use some kind of different things. So but that's okay. I mean, it depends on you. The goal is to get a good sound and to feel comfortable and feel happy with the unit and feel happy with your playing. So let's check. Okay, first of all, but I did this some time ago in a different video, but I will do this again. What is an equalizer? I'm showing the parametric equalizer because it has all the parameters you can handle. An equalizer shapes the sound in terms of frequencies. Okay, you choose frequencies and you select what you do with that, the sound in that frequency, in those frequencies. If you increase the sound on those frequencies or you decrease the sound on those frequencies. And you have also some kind of cut in the bottom side of the spectrum and in the upper side of the spectrum, on the top side of the spectrum. Okay, let's check. We have what is called a low cut filter, which is this, or the same name is high pass filter. Okay, and you have also a high cut filter or low pass filter, which is the very same thing. Okay, then you have several models, and here we have 5 that are related to frequencies around the whole spectrum. You choose the frequency where you will work. For example, here is 1 kilohertz or 1000 hertz. You choose the width of the cut you will produce. In here is Q. This is the parameter. The parameter is called Q. You have Q1, and you're gonna have Q, for example, at 0.1 or maybe 0.5, which is the minimum Q you can have on the GTK equalizer. And then you check if you increase that area or decrease that area. Okay, so you mainly work with that. You have also low and highs that you can handle too with this kind of parameters. Okay, these kind of parameters let you to decrease or increase the low frequencies or increase or decrease high frequencies. Okay, so that's basic. Returning to the Q parameter, if you put a high Q parameter, what you do is not wide. Okay, it's narrow. It's a narrow effect in terms of how much of the spectrum is affected. Okay, with that in mind, I will show you how some blocks of the GTK affect the spectrum of the input signal, and for that I will use something that is called pink noise. Okay, pink noise is flat in terms of frequencies, but so it allows you to process a signal and to check which is the result. Okay, in here we have no amplifier, it will lead to no speaker, and we will see what happens with the signal, okay, that is processed by the GTK. Okay, let's check. Okay, let's check which is the effect of the GTK, but without any block turned on. Okay, you see it's more or less flat spectrum. It's not flat, but trust me, this is the source. I mean, it's not GTK producing this this difference, it's just the source. Okay, but let's check, for example, an amp block. Okay, let's put a transparent amp block with all the settings, I mean with low gain in order to avoid clipping, and with all the knobs in the middle. Okay, you see, first thing that you might notice that there is some kind of shaping even when the amplifier is flat. Okay, we can think about the microphone or the speaker or similar, but it produces something. I mean, it puts its own fingerprint on the sound, on the frequencies that of course shape the final sound. Okay, let's check, for example, natural amp. You see, it's a different fingerprint. Okay, so of course, I mean, I know you can notice this by ear, but this is a completely different fingerprint. Okay, let's go X-Crunch, for example, just to check it, how it works. And you see that it also has its own fingerprint. Okay, let's check, for example, recti stack. And here we can see something, I hope similar or different. You see, there's a hole in here, in the low mid range. And yeah, that's kind of fingerprint of its characteristics. Okay, let's deal now, but with a distortion block or kind of booster, kind of overdrive, for example. Is it turned on? No. Now it's turned on. Okay, let's go. You see, it's more or less flat, but it has a low cut. If I turn it off, you don't see that low cut. Okay. But what happens if I put a treble booster? Look, there's more cut in the bass, and there's so you can see an increase in the treble. Okay, what if I use a mid boost? You see that mids are increased. And look, I mean, between 10K and 1K, there are 10 dBs. You see 10 dBs of difference. You see? What about if we use two screamer, for example? Very well known two screamer. It also produces an increase in the mids. Okay, we can see that between 1K and 10K, we have around 14 dBs. 13 to 14 dB. So it's a dramatic change. Okay. If you use, for example, a blues driver. Look, it changed. You see? It changed like this. Okay, there is an increase, but soft increase on 6 kilohertz, I think. And let's go for the well-known metal zone. Look, please look, take a look at this dramatic change that this block produces. So all of this is their own fingerprints, and of course you will be able to make these using equalizers. Is not that easy, but trust me, what is there at the end, what is there inside, are no more or no less than the same circuits that an equalizer uses. You can go, for example, to electrosmatch.com, which is a page that has an analysis of several gadgets, and I can check, for example, Ivan estaba escribiendo. And if you check, I mean, this is technical, of course, these are the circuits, but we can check the analysis in terms of spectrum. And guess what? Look, it's a extremely high increase around 1 kilohertz, but this is a YQ, this might be 0.5 or something like that. But there is a dramatic change in the spectrum of the sound. So, I mean, any time you use a pedal, unless it's transparent or it's clean boost or something like that, but anytime you use a pedal, an overdrive or distortion, you are applying some kind of equalizing. And trust me, if you check the circuits that are here inside, there is the very same circuits that are used for equalizers. So in several terms you're equalizing, okay? You can check that in here, for example, for the famous Procorat 2, and you will see more or less the same that Tube Screamer is doing in terms of frequencies, but with some kind of difference. Let's check what says our spectrum analyzer in terms of the Procorat, okay? Okay, it's not shaping the same, but it's kind of shape, okay? Maybe distortion that this is producing, it's creating a different curve, a different graph, but of course you have change, you have modifications, okay? So all pedals produce their own fingerprint. We can check for now, for example, and this will be very interesting, what happens if we move some knobs. I will move the tone knob and we will see what will happen, okay? I will increase tone and I will decrease tone. You see? You are of course increasing or decreasing highs. What happens if I increase bottom or I decrease bottom? It's the very same for the low frequencies. This bottom knob, it's not something regular in pedals, but this is something that of course the boss introduced it on this platform, on this pedal board. But I think it's very useful, okay? And there's one other special thing. What the solo switch does. Let's try to see. Okay? Okay. You see, the solo switch, at least in this pedal, is not increasing volume, because a volume increase means that everything will go up in the very same way, like this kind of volume. Okay? This is a flat booster, I mean, moving volume is a flat booster that increase or decrease everything, all frequencies. But again, if you check solo switch, let's increase level, you see what you're increasing is mainly mids. And that's one of the things that I would really like to share. I mean, when you want to be heard, when you really want to be heard and you want to cut through the mix, you have to pay attention to the mid frequencies. To the mid frequencies. If you increase mid frequencies, you will be heard a lot. Okay? If you increase them enough, you will be heard a lot. Of course, after you increase mid frequencies, you must check treble. And if treble is not enough, you can give it a little touch of treble. But it's not treble what makes you to be heard like somebody singing, for example, like somebody soloing. It's mid frequencies, okay? Mid or mid-high frequencies, depending on what you want. Okay. Let's try the solo switch in the treble screamer, okay? You're seeing what the treble screamer does, and if you move the solo switch and you move it to on position, it's also increasing mids. I mean, there's no question about it. Mid increasing. Okay? Or maybe not in the case, maybe there's a lot more than mids, but it's something that I think in the main idea is to increase mids. Okay, everybody, let's go for a test. In this case, I will use this diamond amplifier, which is the box amplifier, and I will distort the sound using bass and middle. I will have the gain switch at high and the gain on 100, so it will produce a beautiful distortion, by the way. I really like that. But maybe it will not match to the context, okay? I have recorded a bass track with a drum, bass, and a lead guitar. So we will check the rhythm guitar, okay? Let's go for that. Okay, you have checked that the lead guitar tends to be blocked or it's interrupted by the rhythm guitar. Okay, so we need to give the rhythm guitar more clarity and maybe less mids. But if we add clarity, it will at the same time add you will feel that mids decrease. Okay, so let's go again and let me do some adjustment using the equalizer here after the amp. Okay, let's go. Okay, you might have noticed that now it matches better. Let's check what we did. We did a cut on the low frequencies at 100 Hz. We decreased lows on 5 dBs. We didn't alter 1 kHz. If you check, I didn't need that, but I prepared that with a Q of 0.5, which is a wide equalizer. And at 4K with Q1 I increased 3 dBs, and in the high part I increased 7 dBs. and I did a cut on the 8 kHz. By the way, 100 Hz on the lows and 8 kHz on the highs is something that, yeah, I can recommend. Of course, you can experiment with that, but it will avoid putting low noise, noise of low frequencies and noise of high frequencies, okay? So you can clean up your sound with that, and the guy on the mixing control will really appreciate that, okay? What about the lead guitar? Okay, I had the rhythm guitar recorded here, so I will work with the lead only, okay, and we will check what will happen, okay. Okay, you check that it's not maybe a matter of just increasing volume, okay? So we will work with the equalizer on this area, on 1 kHz, and we'll check if increasing this, it will be heard better without interrupting the other instruments, okay? Let's go for that. See, it was better because we, instead of increasing all frequencies, we just increased some of them, and by little touches. So it made the guitar, the lead guitar, more noticeable. And you can check that, of course, in the audio. I mean, it's pretty evident, okay? So in general terms, you can use these tricks or the equalizer with these tricks in order to shape the sound. What about if you don't want to use an equalizer? Let's see. For example, for the lead guitar, I will put this treble boost at the end, okay? And I will check if I can get some better results with that, or some good results with that. See, a different approach. This is something like, for example, I'm putting a pedal in the effects loop of the amp, okay? I'm putting a overdrive pedal in the effect loop of the amp, something that is not usual. Let's go for a tube screamer and see if with the tube screamer we can produce a similar result, okay? maybe not as much as we desire, because maybe the increase in the mid area of the tube screamer is so much, okay? But there are some situations where tube screamer will help you to cut through the mix if your audio is not that strong in mids as you need, okay? But you must compare and you must check what is best, okay? What else can we tell? Okay, in terms of equalizers, I can tell you that you can shape distortion if you use an equalizer before the amp, okay? And you can do that, and we will try it with the rhythm guitar alone, okay? So you can clearly hear that. You see, you can produce results with that, okay? So if you put an equalizer before the amp, you can do very crazy things, and you can, of course, modify the way the amp distorts, or the pedal too. You can do it, of course, in front of a distortion pedal too. Okay, I have a different suggestion or a different trick in here with clean guitars and compressor. What happens when you have a clean guitar that is too bassy? You have a lot of bass, and you work with the compressor in order to make it more even in terms of the notes, in terms of the chords, okay? So let's suppose we have this. I have the compressor here. I will put a boss compressor with 3 to 1, and we have the amp very clean. Let's listen to that. Okay, you can hear the effect of the compressor, but the guitar is too dark, okay? Let's try to fix it moving the equalizer on the amplifier, okay? Let's go. Okay, it's compressed, yeah, that's correct, but it's not the best way to do this, because if you think it, the guitar with a lot of bass, it has a lot of bass on the pickups. I mean, the pickups are dark. They hit the compressor, and the compressor acts mostly with the bass, and at the end we are just kind of cutting the bass or increasing the treble, but the compressor is reacting with the bass, and to be honest, we don't want the compressor to be reacting with the bass part of the sound. So in these kind of situations, I recommend you to clean it before and to get into the compressor the sound you want, not just the raw sound from the guitar. So the sound that you want. Okay, let's go again. So with this strategy, the sound that goes to the compressor, it's the desired sound, the clean sound, and not the dark sound from the guitar. So you shape it before you make it to hit the compressor. The compressor will react better because it's more, I mean, it's free of bass, for example. It's free for in terms of bass frequencies, and the compressor is reacting only in the frequencies you want to hear. So it's better than that. A different approach, and something that I really recommend too, is what happens when you're using delays. Okay, we will add distortion in here. But when you're using delay, you have two situations, and mainly it means that, for example, you use this delay and you use the flat delay, yeah, and you hear the repetitions, yeah, exactly as you hear the main sound. Okay, let's try this. Okay, sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want the delay to be heard, I mean to increase your power, but not to affect the original signal. In that case, you can use the high cut of the delays, and the repetitions will be more smooth or more softer than the original. They will not cut through the mix as the original, so they will be like in backstage or behind the main sound. Let's go again. You see, it's a different trick, but it's very useful, and it's also related to equalizing. Okay. Last tip. What you have in your guitar, a tone knob control. The tone knob control is a high cut filter too. Okay, so you can use it as the input of an amplifier or a distortion in order to shape the sound. Yeah, but it's also an equalizer. I mean, believe it or not, it's a high cut filter, a passive filter, but it's an equalizer. So you can use the tone of your guitar too to do some shaping. Okay. Anyway, as a conclusion, please don't be afraid to use equalizer. Experiment with them. Try to be not that much aggressive, but experiment as long as you have a good sound. Experiment with backing, I mean rhythm guitars, lead guitars. You want to be heard, maybe the mids or the high mids need more increase or whatever. But experiment with them. Don't be afraid. Most pedals that you use are equalizers in part. I mean, they have a stage of equalizing. So you have equalizers everywhere. I mean, the amps have their own fingerprint of equalizing too, so they're equalizers anyway. Yeah, you can use useful tools here in the Boss GTK. You have 4 equalizers here plus what you have in the output section. So, and high cut filters and long cut filters on a lot of the blocks, and also tone knobs and bottom knobs on the distortion pedal. So you have filters and equalizers everywhere here. So don't be afraid, use them, experiment, and have get the tone you want, get the tone you need. Okay, that's all for now. Please stay tuned and subscribe to my channel and give a like to the video. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.